And we can see from those images as she climbed into this beautiful Rolls-Royce that there is quite a train. It could take her a few minutes to get out of the car.
Yeah, I think her father was struggling with that bit, wasn't he?
And I can tell you now, it has just been confirmed that it is Sarah Burton at Alexander McQueen who designed this dress. A very popular choice.
I am beside myself. This is such a fashion moment, I can't tell you. Sarah Burton has had the most extraordinary year because really, tragically, we lost Alexander McQueen just over a year ago. She had to step into his shoes. She's been working at his right hand.
Quite 50s, isn't it?
It's exquisite.
2 meters 70, the train. And what a vision.
It's exquisite.
And it's made of ivory and white satin gazelle.
Gazelle, okay, lovely.
That is a fabulous dress.
And the veil being held there in place by the Queen's halo tiara, which has been loaned to her specially for this day by the Queen, made by Cartier. A very old tiara made in 1936, French Chantilly lace, combined with English Cluny lace. And what a sight.
King Haakon of Norway and Princess Ingeborg leave Oslo to attend the wedding of Princess Ragnhild. The King and Queen of Denmark are among the many royal guests present. Princess Margaret, representing the Queen, is escorted by Prince Bertil of Sweden to the ceremony. Now the bride leaves her home. She wears a traditional white satin gown with a short tulle veil. Her father, Crown Prince Olaf of Norway, accompanies her to the little red brick country church at Asker, where she is to be wed. This is the first marriage of a princess in Norway for nearly 600 years, and it has aroused great interest because Princess Ragnhild is to marry a commoner, Mr. Erling Lorentzen. Cherry blossom and white lilac from nearby orchards decorate the church. The marriage service, in which no wedding rings are used, is conducted by the Bishop of Oslo. The ceremony is soon over, and arm in arm, the newlyweds make for their carriage to return to the royal palace for the reception. Handsome wedding presents, including one from Queen Elizabeth, have been sent from all over the world. The wedding of Norway's young princess was kept relatively quiet at the express wish of her grandfather, King Haakon, but royalty from 5 nations make it a happy climax to a fairy tale romance. Soon, Mr. and Mrs. Lorentzen will make their home in South America. After all the fever of publicity, the acres of newsprint, the fashion notes, and the jewel robberies, the great day approaches at last when Grace Kelly of Philadelphia, USA, will become the bride of Rainier, Prince of Monaco. Wedding gifts have come from all over the world. Gifts in gold and silver, jewelry and fine porcelain. Presents from kings and queens, presidents and commoners, movie magnates and millionaires. A pile of riches which look as though Aladdin had rubbed his lamp to furnish this fairy tale wedding. At the Opera House, Monegasque see Grace at her first public event as Rainier's wife. But she's still only half a princess. The civil marriage has been held privately, but the solemn cathedral ceremony is still to come. On the wedding day, the Mediterranean sun shines as brilliantly as anyone could wish when Grace arrives on her father's arm, past guards of honor from the visiting British, French, Italian, and American warships. A few minutes later, the bridegroom arrives. Now, almost for the first time in months, the blare of publicity is silenced in the beauty and dignity of the nuptial mass. The bride waits at the altar, and the bridegroom comes forward to join her. quick smile from the prince, and the ceremony is due to begin. The Bishop of Monaco conducts the marriage service.
Grâce Patricia, voulez-vous prendre pour légitime époux Rainier, Louis, Henri, Maxence, Bertrand, ici présents, selon le rite de notre mère, la Sainte Église. Ego conjungum vos in matrimonium, in nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Now comes the moment for the exchanging of rings. The bishop hands one to the bridegroom, who is a little nervous. Grace helps him put it on. Mr. and Mrs. Kelly watch as the young couple kneel to pray before receiving Holy Communion. The wedding is over, and Prince Rainier's bride is no longer Grace Kelly, but Her Serene Highness, Princess Grace of Monaco. The nervous tension of the last few days begins to relax as the Prince and Princess leave the cathedral to greet their cheering people. An open Rolls-Royce waits to drive them on a tour through the streets of Monte Carlo. As handsome a couple as any teller of fairy tales could have described. The Prince in his dark uniform with the shining epaulets, and the Princess in her ivory gown with its 300 yards of lace and 150 yards of silk. So a Hollywood star becomes a princess in a setting even Hollywood could scarcely have surpassed.
Bright sunshine makes perfect a royal wedding day. Crown Prince Fredrik of Denmark arrives for his marriage to Princess Ingrid, granddaughter of the Duke of Connaught and of King Gustav of Sweden. The Princess. Her white satin gown is trimmed with the old Irish lace and orange blossom that had been worn by her English mother, the late Princess Margaret of Connaught at Windsor in 1905. With the rites of the Swedish Lutheran Church, the wedding ceremony is performed by the Archbishop of Uppsala.
Louis, Margareta, till din äkta hustru och älska henne i nöd och lust. Ja, Christian, Fredrik, Frans, Mikael, Karl, Valdemar, Georg, till din äkta man och älska honom i nöd och lust. Ja.
Crown Prince Frederick, looking every inch the sailor he is in his naval commander's uniform, assists Princess Ingrid, looking radiantly beautiful and happy, into the royal landau. They drive through masses of people, through streets garlanded with the blue and yellow flags of Sweden and the red and blue ensigns of Denmark, back to the palace of King Gustav. They appear on a balcony to acknowledge the thundering cheers of the populace. Then the royal couple perform an act of kindness and princely consideration. In the open landau, Princess Ingrid still wearing her bridal gown, the royal couple, escorted by hussars, drive for an hour through the crowded Stockholm streets, so that all might have a chance of seeing the happy pair. Princess Ingrid waves gaily, but for her it is farewell, for she's to leave her native country to live in Copenhagen. Changed into her going-away dress of green with picture hat to match, she says goodbye to her friends as she leaves for her new home. At the landing stage waits King Gustav's royal barge, the sailors' oars at the salute, and they depart on the Danish royal yacht Danburg, amid thunderous cheers, escorted by planes and battleships. Princess Ingrid goes to Denmark, one day to be queen of the ancient Viking nation, from whose shores came another queen, the beloved Alexandra of England.
Prince who will never be a king and a royal princess who can never be queen were married in Palermo Cathedral with a magnificence that has rarely been surpassed in modern times. And here comes the bride, the Princess Isabel, with her father, the Prince Dom Pedro de Alcantara, who abdicated his pretensions to the throne of Brazil in 1908. The bridegroom is Prince Henri, son of the Duc de Guise, pretender to the throne of France. And here are some of the 57 European princes and princesses who, together with hundreds of French and Brazilian royalists, attended. By special dispensation of His Holiness the Pope, Cardinal Lavritano, Cardinal Archbishop of Palermo, celebrated the wedding. Ladies, and what woman is not thrilled by a wedding, and details of a bride's dress? Princess Isabel's gorgeous gown was of white silk, with a train of over 12 yards long, and she wore a beautiful mantilla and a cape of old lace. As the bridegroom is forbidden forever to set foot on French territory, hundreds of French royalists chartered a special steamer and sailed to Sicily to demonstrate their loyalty. And after the ceremony,
November the 20th, 1947. The time, 11 o'clock. A nation and a world watch. Once only in 1100 years of British kingship has there been such a day. An heiress presumptive to the throne marries the man of her choice. The setting is Westminster Abbey. To its west door come members of Europe's royal houses, the peers and the people. History is in the making. 3 miles away, Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, now His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, leads. But the eyes of the world are centered on Buckingham Palace. Into the dull November morning, 2 greys draw the Irish stagecoach. Inside, Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth and her father. For any girl, wedding day is the day of her life. As the 21-year-old princess arrived at Westminster Abbey, it was her moment too. For Elizabeth, this was of necessity something more. From this hour, a new life begins. Mingled with her private happiness is the sure knowledge that she must now enter a widening field of public duty and responsibility. And now the solemn service begins. In this moment, charged with great meaning, the people of Britain and the Commonwealth joined. They listened and remembered, in towns and villages, in shops, in streets, in homes. For Elizabeth's destiny is great. So great that even the solemn splendor of this great moment could not altogether overshadow it. She who may one day rule over Britain and the Empire shares this heritage with her husband. The organ sounded, and for this hour, Elizabeth is not only a queen-to-be, but a bride. And now they are man and wife. The princess had been in the abbey for nearly an hour. What followed the service was the ornate pageantry of a state occasion. It showed that this was no ordinary wedding, but that of a king's daughter. Following the bridal procession came the bride's father and mother, and behind them 5 kings, 5 queens, and 8 princes and princesses. From Romania, King Michael and his mother. Norway's tall King Håkon. Boy King Faisal of Iraq. The King and Queen of Denmark. From Holland, Princess Juliana and Prince Bernhard. The bridegroom's uncle and aunt, Earl Mountbatten, India's Governor-General, and the Countess. Outside the abbey, the great crowd waited eagerly. There was a roar of excitement as the princess, aided by her husband, appeared and stepped into the glass coach for the drive back to the palace. It was the signal for the most heartfelt outburst of affection that Britain has seen since the bride's parents led the coronation parade. The joy of princess and people was now complete. For both, the day had been an ordeal, frightening in its intensity, yet unforgettable in its splendor. And now the tension was lifting. Despite the imposing duties that are before them, the young couple were filled with the emotions of intense gladness, which so many have enjoyed in this peak of human experience. And it was as any priest would have spoken when, in his address, the Archbishop of York urged upon the young couple patience, a ready sympathy, and forbearance. For the people who had come from afar, the wedding was a family wedding for the entire British people. Everyone gladly shared in the rejoicings, because the crown once again was serving to remind us of the common humanity which unites us all. Outside the palace, 100,000 people surged forward in a solid mass. They wanted Elizabeth. They wanted Philip. From the palace balcony, Elizabeth and her husband waved to the cheering crowds. Excitement was at its peak as the King, the Queen, Queen Mary, and other members of the royal family came out to join them. Seldom has a bride and groom received such a tumultuous expression of goodwill. Inside the palace, the cameras were able to capture the exquisite workmanship of the bridal gown. Princess Margaret leads the 8 bridesmaids who have come to join the bridal pair. And now, with the King and Queen to complete the family group, here are 3 generations of Europe's royal houses. As the great day drew to a close, there was the final drive across Westminster Bridge to Waterloo Station before the princess and her husband could gain the quiet that was rightfully theirs. In the princess, the nation has found all the qualities which merit the confidence of a people who have faith in the crown and its rigid observance of public duty. That is the tradition which Elizabeth will follow. And when the time comes for her to assume her responsibilities, by her side will be a husband whose counsel will merge with her own for the good of the realm. In that grateful knowledge, the nation and the Commonwealth will pray that the young couple may enjoy a long, happy, and fruitful life.
ทรงเจิมสมเด็จพระราชินี สมเด็จพระเจ้าอยู่หัวพระราชทานเครื่องราชอิสริยาภรณ์อันมีเกียรติคุณรุ่งเรืองยิ่งมหาจักรีบรมราชวงศ์พระสุดาสยามบรมราชกุมารี และพลเอกหญิงสุทธิดาณอยุธยา ในการสถาปนาสมเด็จพระราชินี
จึงมีพระราชโองการให้สถาปนาพลเอกหญิงสุทธิดา
จากนั้นพลเอกหญิงสุทธิดาวชิราลงกรณอยุธยาเฝ้าทูลละอองธุลีพระบาททูลเกล้าทูลกระหม่อมถวายกรวยกระทงดอกไม้ธูปเทียนแพรแด่สมเด็จพระเจ้าอยู่หัว โอกาสนี้สมเด็จพระเจ้าอยู่หัวพระราชทานน้ำพระมหาสังใบมะตูมและทรงเจิมสมเด็จพระราชินี สมเด็จพระเจ้าอยู่หัวพระราชทานเครื่องราชอิสริยาภรณ์อันมีเกียรติคุณรุ่งเรืองยิ่งมหาจักรีบรมราชวงศ์เหรียญรัตนาภรณ์รัชกาลที่10ชั้นที่1และพระราชโองการสถาปนาแก่สมเด็จพระราชินีสุทธิดา จากนั้นผู้อำนวยการเขตดุสิตเฝ้าทูลละอองธุลีพระบาททูลเกล้าทูลกระหม่อมถวายสมุดจดทะเบียนราชาภิเษกสมรสทรงลงพระปรมาภิไธยและพระนามาภิไธยในสมุดทะเบียนราชาภิเษกสมรสในการนี้สมเด็จพระเทพรัตนราชสุดาสยามบรมราชกุมารีทรงลงพระนามาภิไธยในฐานะทรงเป็นสักขีพยานและพลเอกเปรมตินสุรานนท์ประธานองคมนตรีลงนามในสมุดจดทะเบียนราชาภิเษกสมรสในฐานะสักขีพยาน ต่อจากนั้นพลเอกอนุพงษ์เผ่าจินดารัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงมหาดไทยทูลเกล้าทูลกระหม่อมถวายทะเบียน